One of the biggest worries that I had when I first became a parent was the balance between raising a kid to be humble and raising them to be confident. I felt like it was this struggle between, okay, if I make them overly confident, are they going to be arrogant and unkind and ungrateful? Or if I'm teaching them to be humble, are they going to have low self-esteem and never really pursue their purpose in life? What if I told you could raise a kid who pursues confidently and boldly the person that God created them to be, and also raise a kid who is humble and kind and sees the good and potential in others too? That is what I have found. And here's what I want you to know. What happens if we don't do something about how our children see themselves in the world? The fact is, the world will raise our children for us if we don't step up and do it. And we see this all the time, even with parents who really try and do their best sometimes. And I say that because I want you to know that how your kids turn out isn't your fault, but we can help them in their journey. So I want to give you tools right now to give your kids that edge, to give you that edge as a parent, that you can set them up with the tools that if they choose not to use them when they're old and making their own decisions, then that's up to them. But when they decide that they do want to pursue their God-given purpose and pursue a life that they were created to live, that they have that backbone that you have instilled within them at an early age. And so I want you to release the burden of fixing your kids. It's not your job. That's God's job. He's got them. He's got them, okay? But He needs you to align with Him, to do the best that we can in confidence, in love, to show up for our kids the best that we can and give them the tools so that if they do go off, the path a little bit, that they're like, oh wait, I remember, this is what my mom always talked about. And that they have that instilled in them. And when our kids get old and they're making their own decisions and they're adults, it's on them. But we can give them that edge. And that's what I'm gonna do for you today. So here's the scary thing is, when the world raises our kids, we know what that looks like. You might not realize it, but you know what that looks like. And if you want the world to decide who your children get to be, who they think they are in the world, how they perceive their value, if you want the world to instill that in them, then just keep doing what you're doing. Or, let them watch TV and be influenced by whoever at school. Honestly, I even see teachers who try really hard to do what's right, but the mindset at school sometimes isn't what's best for the kids. And so that's why it's so important to really get intentional. Sometimes, I don't know why I don't love the word intentional, but it really is just saying, hey, this is what I want. I'm gonna show up. That's really what being intentional means to me. I don't know why I don't love that word. I think because it's used a lot and I think it kind of loses its pizzazz, but this is what I want for my kids. I'm gonna show up and pursue this goal. So if that's where you're at and you don't want the world to raise your kids for you, you know and believe that you and your children were made for greatness. And by greatness, I don't mean they have to go and be Oprah Winfrey. They could, but we each have a purpose. We are made with beauty and with greatness inside of us. Greatness that could be the joy we bring to someone on the streets when we walk by and we smile and we look them in the eye and we treat them like a human being. Or it could be greatness to go out and start a business that's making an impact on the world and changing lives and providing jobs and security to families. Or it could be greatness in that you show up on social media to encourage and love on people and not to, perpetuate this competition mindset and judging of other people, and you're changing that culture. We all have greatness inside of us, and we get to define what is great and pursue the greatness that God has put in our hearts and the calling that he's put in our hearts. So let's just quickly go back to, what does the media tell us that to have value that we need? Because this is what your kids are seeing every single day, even if they're watching cartoons. You may not realize it, but even cartoons are programming your children. I see this all the time in my kids, and my kids do watch TV. I'm not perfect either, but I make sure that I watch with them and I reprogram them and I help them create the filter through which they see themselves and can make their own decisions based on what is being fed to their minds. So what does the media tell us we need to have value? Physical beauty, sexual attractiveness, honestly, anger and rebelliousness. I see this celebrated a lot, is anger and rebelliousness. And it's interesting, and I'm not against rebelliousness when it's for the right reasons and it's for goodness and it's for, I won't get into all that. So, but general anger and rebelliousness, I see a lot. I see that celebrated a lot. Division and hatred. Oh, I see this all the time. It's unbelievable how much the pursuit of division. I see this in motherhood, you guys. One mom chooses to raise her kids this way, another mom chooses to raise her kids this way, and they are boom, like, nope, we can't be friends. What? We are all molding and shaping the next generation of human beings that are going to define what our world looks like in 10 and 20 and 30 years. So how about we team up instead of hate on each other because you choose to give your kid Tylenol and you rub oils on their feet? Who cares? So anyway, I won't go down that rabbit hole. I also see numbing out. You see this in a lot of like TV shows where, you know, drinking, they celebrate this, drinking, watching TV, being lazy, you know, like Homer Simpson and, you know, Married with Children, and even shows that I love to watch, like How I Met Your Mother and Friends. It's like there still is this celebration of numbing out and laziness. And that's something that I choose to be really cautious about. Not that we always need to work. That's not what life is about either. But numbing out is never something that there's a problem there. And when you feel the desire to numb out, you're missing out on your life. You may just need some legit, numbing out is not rest, by the way. I see that celebrated a lot. And then the last one that really I notice all the time is the media tells us that we aren't valued if we don't fit in. That is not news. That has literally been around forever and is something that I think every kid and every person struggles with all the time. Am I enough? Am I wanted? Do people like me? So if you guys don't know who I am, my name is Kristen. I am the founder of Becoming a Badass Mom group, where we do group coaching and trainings, and the bomb community of just amazing women who desire to raise exceptional kids in a mediocre world. And I'm a mom of 2 girls. I currently live in San Diego with my husband, my kids, chickens, dogs, cats. We have a whole zoo. And I love my life, and I want to help you love yours, and I want to empower you and show you how amazing and incredible you were made, and how important you are, how powerful you are, and that you were made for your kids, my friend. You were made for your kids. So I know we don't always feel like that, so I'm just here to be your friendly reminder. All right, so the truth is, I spent years feeling less than, struggling to find self-worth, wondering if I was ever going to be good enough, perfect enough. That was how I tried to fit in, was let's just be as perfect as I can be. And I became a wallflower, because perfection is false. You will never reach it. And so since I wasn't ever attaining my idea of perfection, I just became a wallflower, super quiet, super reserved, super uncomfortable in social situations. And it's funny because I am still an introvert, but I'm an introvert who loves people. I'm an introvert who has gained a lot of confidence in who God's created me to be, in the purpose He has me called for in this world. And so it's okay to be introverted, but not to be hiding from the world because you don't feel like you're enough. So I've seen my clients struggle with the same feeling in massive, massive ways, which blocks them from moving forward and being the parent that they want to be, to pursuing goals and dreams that they want to pursue. And what's really heartbreaking is this mindset will trickle down to your kids. I mean, not to put more pressure on you, because let's be honest, moms don't need more pressure. And if they don't, like, you have the weight of the world on your shoulders. I understand that. I'm a mom too. But if you're not going to change the way you value yourself, that's the example you're setting for your kids. And that's why you're so important, in the way you choose to show up for yourself is so important, because they're watching you. Okay? So I understand if your life is really, really hard. And right now it may be a lot to wrap your mind around your purpose and who God has created you to be. And I promise you, and I think you feel it, that it's there, that deep down under the lies that you've chosen to believe about yourself, that maybe have been told to you by your parents or people you thought were your friends and other influences, those lies that have covered up that purpose, that confidence that you know is in there somewhere, buried under a ton of crap. It's because of how you've been programmed. Just like we talked about how the media is influencing how our children, value. All of the influences we have in our life are programming us to perceive ourselves a certain way. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. The good news is you are you have far more control over your life and your influences and how you perceive yourself than you realize. And I'm hoping to kind of like shatter that glass for you today and open up your mind to the possibilities. And it's time to erase that crap and to fill it with truth. So this is a cycle that can end with you, and it's your choice, and you get to be the change in this generational process, the family legacy that you're leaving behind, the mindset and the perspective that you're leaving for your kids. And this is your children's future. It's your future, and it's your children's future, and it's their children's future. So this is you getting to come in and saying, no more. Like I said, this is about being intentional. So what do you want? What do you need to do to get there? Go do it, okay? So I'm going to give you 3 specific things that you can do to help raise confident children who are loving, kind, and humble, and just feel secure in who God created them to be. So the first one is to speak truth over them constantly. Unfortunately, we tend to believe lies about ourselves all the time. But when someone speaks truth or gives us a compliment, we say, no. I'm not. Gosh, somebody says, hey, wow, your hair looks really beautiful today. Oh gosh, really? It's so windblown. I have hat hair. We just brush it aside. We never own the goodness in us. We only own the negative. Think about that. When's the last time you really accepted a compliment and chose to believe it because someone said it in love and truth? When's the last time? And I want you to speak truth over your children constantly. See the good in them and speak it constantly. If it's every 5 seconds that you come up with a new good thing to see in your kids, you're going to say it every 5 seconds. And it's the little things, you guys. The little things add up to be big, big, big things. Wow, you're really good at writing your A's. I'm really proud of you. Your handwriting is getting better and better. Look at this picture you drew. Tell me about it. This is really beautiful. You are artistic. You have a gift. Or seeing your children interact in a positive way or even a neutral way. If you have kids who fight a lot and you see a neutral interaction, celebrate that. I love how you guys are sitting together so nicely and respectful of each other and each other's space. This is really nice. Are you enjoying this too? You are changing their perspective. You're changing the lens through which they see their world and themselves in it. And that's really important, not to make stuff up. Your kids aren't stupid, and they're gonna know you're lying to them. They're gonna know you're making things up. I never speak things over my kids that I don't wholeheartedly believe to be true. And here's another thing that I wanna say. I heard this somewhere that it takes 15 seconds when we hear something or experience something negative, we take it on as ourselves and own it immediately. When we hear something or experience something positive, it takes 15 seconds for us to own it. How does that make any sense, right? But it's true. So one thing that I've started doing is when I'm experiencing something really wonderful, cuddling with my kids is like my favorite thing, and I want to feel the softness of their young skin and cheek against mine, or the way their head feels nestled in my neck and my shoulder, or just seeing their little toes and, just seeing them, like they're not going to be that small forever. And I count to 15 in my head and I close my eyes and I enjoy that moment. And same thing, when someone gives you a compliment, take 15 seconds and own that compliment. You don't necessarily need to count to 15 with your kids, but you can spend 15 seconds talking about their beautiful piece of art, talking about that outfit that they created that was so fun or well put together, or what do you want in your kids? What characteristics do you want to see? That's what you want to celebrate. So, I also ask my kids questions all the time, and I get them to speak things back to me. And these are guided questions. So it's not just, like, for example, a question like, how was your day? Can go positive or negative. Bad, good. Bad day, good day. But these are guided questions because I want to steer them to creating a positive perspective. And so remember, it's easy to be negative. It's harder to be positive. So what do you like about yourself? See how I'm steering to the positive. What do you think God was saying when he created you? And that's a fun one too, because you can just imagine, and you can have them imagine God just knitting them together. And what was he putting in? He put kindness in, a lot of kindness. He put a lot of fun in you, spunk. You were a good bouncer. He put a little bounciness in you. What else? And you can have them start imagining God just creating them and all this goodness that he's putting into them. What do your friends love about you? What do your friends like to do with you? Why do they like doing that with you? Just keep asking them questions. The second thing, first one is speak truth over them constantly, and then guided questions. Point out their gifts and talents to them. I talked about this a little bit, but I want to go a little deeper on this, because the Bible says the power of life and death is in the tongue. The words we speak molds the lens through which we see the world and see ourselves in it. That becomes our perspective. Our perspective is what molds and shapes our beliefs, who we believe we are, if we believe the world is good or bad, how we believe people interact with us. So it's interesting because you ever had a moment where, I want to explain why this is so important, because you ever have a moment where you realized you believed someone was coming at you aggressively. So maybe it was a worker in a restaurant and just seems to have a really bad attitude, and then you're like, oh man, they just have a bad attitude today. And that's the lens through which they see them. It's so interesting because I had this happen the other day where I was a little stressed and I had someone rub me the wrong way, and someone said, man, she's just so beautiful and full of life. And I was like, she changed my perspective, and I admitted it right then. I said, you know what? I had this short little interaction with that person, and I realized my perspective on her was wrong. And I'm so thankful that you said that, because that shifted my perspective. And you're right. You're right. So our perspective shapes how we see the world and shapes our beliefs about ourselves and other people and the world around us. And what we believe, our beliefs, shape who we become and how we show up. So the words that you speak over yourself, over your kids, about the world, about everything, has power. Massive, massive power. I encourage you deeply to look at the words you speak over your children. Do you tell them they're stupid? Do you tell them they fight a lot? Why can't you just get along? Why don't you ever listen? The reason why this is so important is your kids believe then that they never listen, that they never get along. And this can perpetuate future relationship problems, future obedience problems. And what we speak over them becomes the perspective through which that they see themselves. So a shift could be, hey, I know that you know how to get along with your brother. Right now, it seems like you might be struggling a little bit. Do you want to talk about it? I know you're good at this. You guys love each other. What can we do to make this better? What's going on? So that we can help understand each other and what's going on in this situation where you aren't getting along right now. Do you see the difference? I'm one, telling them you're good at this. So what's going on that it's not working out right now? And what can we do about it? Solution. Keep them focused on solution, okay? Your words matter, especially when it comes to your kids. Your example matters and your words matter. Those are powerful, powerful, powerful things. The third thing I want to talk about, teach them to appreciate and have gratitude for the ordinary. That way they'll live the life of extraordinary. I see this a lot, people bashing in the pursuit of an extraordinary life. And honestly, I'm calling a massive BS on that one. There is not a human being on this planet that was meant to live an ordinary life. Not one. But it is how we show up in the ordinary that determines if we get to live extraordinary. And I think our problem isn't the pursuit of extraordinary, it's our definition of extraordinary. It's similar to people having this pursuit of success. And success to one person, they might think they want $1 million. When in reality, what they want is a feeling of importance. And they think that the vehicle to get there is $1 million. And really it's about what is success to you. Success really might be a feeling of importance. You might not need the $1 million. You might just think that in order to be important, you need to be a millionaire. And I think our pursuit of the extraordinary has just gotten tweaked by the definition and what we're pursuing. And if you want, and I want my children to appreciate everything that they have. Life is a gift. And when you show them how to show up in the day-to-day, in the ordinary, with gratitude, with humility, with a positive outlook, with a growth mindset, you should be showing them how to live an extraordinary life. Now, this is where you as the example is absolutely critical. Absolutely critical, because if we are beating ourselves up every single day and not showing up our best self, how can we expect them to do the same? So the last thing I want to talk about, because I know this is a big issue for so many people, is what to do when kids start bashing themselves. And unfortunately, I see this a lot, and you'll see this in adults too. Where do you think the kids learn it from? So the whole old saying, sticks and stones break my bones, words will never harm me, is an absolute flat out bold-faced lie. I don't think there's anything worse than the damage words can do. So when kids start bashing themselves, to me that's as bad as if they were bashing somebody else. I treat it with the same seriousness. You don't get to talk negatively about some other dude. You don't get to talk that way about yourself either. So there's a few things that I do, and honestly, for you to get the best results, you're really gonna have to tap into your kid's personality, what drives them, what motivates them, what doesn't motivate them. And so I'm gonna give you examples based on my children's personality right now. My oldest, for example, she just wants to please, and she wants to make other people happy. Like, that just like warms her heart, that motivates her so much. And so if she were to speak negatively about herself, all I would have to say to her is, hey honey, how would it make God feel if he were standing right here next to you and he created you and he loves his creation just the way you put so much thought into that drawing that you made? And he's standing there and he's listening to you just bash yourself and say these lies about how he made you. How do you think that would make him feel? That would flip her switch and she would be like, oh man. And I would say to her, how did he make you? What would he say about you? Would he say you're stupid, ugly, blah, 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 whatever I would speak back, whatever lies she was speaking over herself. And she would say no. Now that's how I would speak to the motivations of my child. The other thing is, if you have kids that are bashing yourself, is ask them, is that how you want to be? Do you want to be XYZ? Whatever, fill in the blank with whatever they're saying about themselves. Is that what you want? Do you want to be stupid? Do you want to be angry? Do you want to be blah, blah, blah? Because going back to what we said before, power of life and death is in the tongue. If you don't want to be that way, then you need to change what you're saying about yourself right now. And then I would literally make them speak the truth. And another thing, honestly, if you're not a believer, like, that's totally okay. But this is why I turn to the Bible for truth, because what truth can we stand on today? I can stand on the truth of my Creator and what he says about me. That's how he made me to be. That's how he made you to be. What does he say about you? What's the truth? And I would make them say, let's say, I'm ugly. And that's the lie they're speaking. Do you want to be ugly? No. Okay. What's the opposite? What do you want to be? Well, I want to be beautiful. Say, I am beautiful. And then repeat after me, I am beautiful. What's beautiful about you? And I would ask them these questions and make them start telling, what do you like about yourself? Let's go get a mirror. What's beautiful about you? And I honestly, this isn't what this video is about, but I used to be afraid to teach my kids to think that they're beautiful. I thought that would make them vain. And now that I have two little girls, I know the world is out there telling them that they're not enough, telling them that they're ugly, telling them that they need XYZ makeup, hair, this and that to be beautiful. Now, I still love makeup and hair and all the things, but I don't do it to fulfill me. I do it because it's fun. And so remind your kids that there's power in their words. And if they don't want to be what they're speaking over themselves, then they need to speak the opposite. Otherwise, their future is going to look like this, okay? So if you enjoyed this, if you found value in this video, then if you're on YouTube, you hit subscribe. If you are watching this on Facebook or Instagram, then click follow and let's connect, all right? I hope that was awesome for you, and it was so awesome having you here today, and thank you again. I'll talk to you soon.